I
There we
appreciate your
go.
patience. Thomas and I are on here to talk to y'all a little bit about the Guy Harvey Education Program and some fun things that we've done through the Guy Harvey Education Program. And Thomas, were you going to go over this one?
Yeah. Why this work really matters. Sorry, I'm battling the flu, so if I step away and cough or I sound really bad, I apologize. Um, but why this work matters. There's an environmental need and an opportunity for youth leadership here. Ongoing environmental degradation is impacting our river ecosystems, recreation, and wildlife, and it's not just the rivers; it's also our estuaries and our bays. So the litter accumulation can create a need for a community-based action. We use the Guy Harvey program to do conservation training, which is available to all agents and volunteers. Um, this program combines environmental stewardship, civic engagement, experiential camping-based learning, which is what they did up in Blackwater. The key message here is that Guy Harvey actually recognizes us extension agents as educators. So, um, next slide.
Yes, so we did in Santa Rosa County a little bit different approach to this where the youth wanted to go camping. And so we also did the overnight camping on the river and worked it along with our river cleanup. So when the youth wanted to do it, I decided, well, we were going to do some leadership skills. And they took ownership of the actual activity and planned how long were they going to go? Like, how far on the river? What were they going to bring? What were they going to do? What date were they going to do this? All of the things they uh, all worked really hard to create this event. They wanted everybody to be CPR certified before we left. We made sure we had a lifeguard go with us, and it was a great event that had 14 teens and 12 adult volunteers. Everybody wanted to go camping. It was a 2-day overnight camping trip. So we actually cleaned 11 miles of the river, where we went about 7 miles down and stopped and did an overnight camp. The really cool thing about it was, you think if you've got teens sleeping in tents on the river, that's going to be a nightmare. But because so many parents were excited about camping on the river, most everyone just slept with their family. So we didn't have to worry about chaperoning things because they were in the tent with dad. So it made it really, really nice. And they had to plan the whole thing. And we were able to utilize, I'll talk about it in a little bit, the Guy Harvey grant that we got to rent the canoes. And the facility that we had rented the canoes from actually donated an additional canoe that was empty that we were able to drag along. And that's what we put our trash in that we picked up. And the youth took real ownership of this program because they learned all that it takes when they say, oh, we want to do this. Sometimes, Miss Prudence just makes it happen. And so it was really nice to be able to get them involved. And now they understand all of the things that, we have to think about when we plan events for them. And I'm going to touch on this one as well. And so we have actually replicated this event. We did it for the second year in a row, and we had 11 teens and 5 adults. This trip was actually rescheduled because our river, not the day we were supposed to go, it rained, but 3 days prior to that, it rained pretty much for 3 days. And so, as you can well imagine, the river was moving pretty quick. And we went down there and looked at it, and the kids made the call. Of course, I was going to make the call anyway, but the kids took ownership of that and made the call that we had to reschedule, and we were able to reschedule. So we had a little fewer adults because we actually did it on a Monday. And so, but we did have a great time. And as you can see, because of the storm pushing everything downstream, we were actually able to collect two canoes worth of garbage. And yes, that is a whole tire and a rim in that picture. And we only canoed 4 miles of the river, but because of the storm pushing everything downstream, we got a whole lot more stuff out of the river. And so it was a benefit after that storm.
So here's where I'll come in. A little bit about the impacts we had. So they had removed trash across overall 15 miles of river. A really cool thing they also did is they planned a beach cleanup. So we went down to the beach. The idea of the beach cleanup was to fill in holes and make sure that the trash was away because it was sea turtle nesting season. But of course, Mother Nature has been throwing wrenches in our plans this whole time. The little tropical storm that we just had come through was hitting at the same time. So the beaches had gotten overwhelmed with water and all the holes had gotten filled in. So we just took them on a little experiential field trip, let them pick up trash. They showed them the seabird nesting areas and where, where you need to go around them and not do it. Also, they found one hole to fill in, so that was really fun. They got to fill that in. I found, if you look at that little picture there, we found a mat of rope that was just extremely heavy, but it was also full of hooks. So I went through and took all the hooks out and cleaned it up, and we actually took that up, but I wanted to make sure all the hooks were out just in case if somebody was messing in the trash or something, they didn't get hooked or anything. The outcome for this is, leadership confidence just gives them the ability to say, hey, we planned this activity. It was a great activity. We're helping the environment. So hopefully that gives them just a little bit of confidence moving on to where they can be leaders. Definitely gives them problem solving skills because especially when they were going down the river, there was stuff that they had to get. I'm surprised they were able to get that tire with the rim out because I know those underwater are pretty heavy. So I can only imagine the problem solving skills they had then. The civic responsibility also so that they can see, hey, the if we're not going to clean it up, who else will? So it's kind of taking the responsibility on yourself to do it. As we were walking up and down the beach, as we said, we collected 158 pounds of trash, which again, she said the two canoes that she had was from the storms. That's why we had a lot of trash too, was from that tropical storm. Um, and honestly, the kid fluence, so the kids planning it allowed for them to own the program, and they sure did. So next slide. So why Guy Harvey? I actually love Guy Harvey. He's the main reason why I'm a marine biologist. This little blurred picture you have here is actually a print of Guy Harvey that I have on my wall. And a little too much information. I have two Guy Harvey tattoos on my back. So Guy Harvey has meant a lot to me. So this was really cool to experience this. Most people recognize Guy Harvey because of the t-shirts or his boats, but what they might not realize is that he's actually a trained marine biologist and a fishery scientist. He has a PhD. One of the craziest things is that he was born in Germany. His father was in the British military, but he was raised in Jamaica. So imagine him being born in Germany and raised in Jamaica. He had a completely different experience. He was able to swim along Jamaica, and that's where he really found the love of the ocean. He became an artist. He's a great artist. His art has paved the way for his conservation efforts. And as the Guy Harvey brand grew, he used that platform to support marine research, conservation, and ultimately education. So that's really what makes the Guy Harvey Foundation awesome and interesting to me is that, we're connecting all the science, the art, the conservation, and the education all together. So they do this thing called conservation education training. I believe they have a few coming up at the end of this year. I know there's one in Jekyll Island, which is their first one they're doing in Georgia, and I know there's another one in Houston, Texas, I believe. But they do have most of them here in Florida. They've trained over 1,600 people. They have over 200 schools that are recognized, including us. Woohoo! They've engaged over 16,000 students in field trip experiences, and I think Prudence will touch on this a little bit too. But when you sign up for a field trip with them and you are recognized, you do get some money. Um, and then once you attend their programs, you all get this treasure chest, which you could choose from lower grades to higher grades, and they're full of really cool stuff. Gai Taku, which is something that you use, you put ink on the fish and then put the paper on the fish, and it transfers it over. I have a whole kit that they gave me in that little toolbox. So that's a really cool thing that they do. Um, Next slide. Oh,
Okay.
perfect.
So, we're going to put up the QR code when it's time for questions again, but that will take you to the conservation education website. And like Thomas was saying, the University of Florida Extension is recognized now as a school so that you can apply to go to the training. You can also apply for a travel grant, which is $250 that they'll help get you there to the training. And then after the training, you can apply for a field trip grant, which is what we did to be able to rent the canoes and get some of the supplies for our cleanups. So we went to clean up, as Thomas was saying, the beach the other day after Bertha ran through. And so we were walking back toward the vans, and I noticed a couple kids there with their dad, and they were digging a hole because, that's the fun thing to do at the beach. And so I walked over to them and I was like, hey, I said, there's sea turtles that are getting ready to hatch. And if y'all leave, if you could fill this hole in, and that would help the turtles not get confused when they're trying to make it to the water. And they were very excited to help. And so on the drive home, my brain never goes to sleep. And it was like, it would have been really cool to give those kiddos something. So I started to brainstorm and develop, and I've worked with Guy Harvey Foundation as well as Guy Harvey himself to get a campaign started that we are kicking off, I believe, officially today. It's been approved by the Guy Harvey Foundation and Guy Harvey, and it is going to be a button to offer the youth. This was our first prototype of a Hatchling Hero button. I had emailed Guy Harvey and asked if he had a turtle art that we could use for this, and he's been gracious enough to allow us to use this art. I'm not sure that he did this for us. I think he must have had this and then let us use it. So, but I do want to let you know, so when we go back out on the beach, we are going to have these little buttons that we will be able to give to the youth. This is the hot off the press. We just pushed it in out through our button maker machine at here at the office. And so this is our Hatchling Hero button so that we can give those youth something while we're there. And it's going to be exciting. So this is our 11 miles, our 4 miles, and then this is everybody that was involved in the beach cleanup. And so I just wanted to put that QR code back up there, and we've got 3 minutes, I believe, for questions if there are any.
Wow. That
That's
was a
awesome.
really, yeah, that is amazing. Um, Thank you all for caring so much about these kinds of things and wanting to develop the next generation of people who are not simply saying that there's a problem, but actually doing something about it. I love that. That's a real solution right there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Julia, you have your hand up. You can unmute yourself.
So my question is for um, either one of you. We do not have a Sea Grant agent in our county. I'm in St. John's. Do I need to have a Sea Grant agent to do this?
No.
Okay.
No. So I am very blessed to have an awesome Sea Grant agent. And so I get to work with Thomas, and we buddied up to do this. But if you have water in your county, which I'm sure everybody in Florida does have some kind of water somewhere, then Guy Harvey, so it used to be called the Ocean Foundation. And so, and it was kind of funny. Jessica Harvey was at one of our trainings, and she was like, yeah, but then dad was like, I like all water. So it is just the conservation program now. And so streams, lakes, ponds, rivers, creeks, ocean, he likes all water.
Thank you.